Does it tell you when it's ready?
Yes. It will make a little bit of a noise. Say,
That's kind of I do that when I'm done.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when I've had enough, I just... Hello, Wolfpack community. It's Randy Woodson, Chancellor at NC State, here for another edition of Red Chair Chats, where I get together with amazing people from our community, alumni from NC State, and just people that care deeply about our great university. And boy, do I have a show for you today. Today, I've got Lindsay Wrege and Michael Evans, the co-developers of 321 Coffee. Coffee with a mission. Coffee with a mission for supporting people that have intellectual and developmental disabilities. And it's such a great story of your time at NC State as students. And so talk to us about how 321 Coffee came to be.
So for me, my story dates back to when I was in elementary school. I switched schools, didn't know anyone, and my first friends were some girls in the classroom that each had different disabilities. But I mean, when you're 8 years old, any of the labels of Down syndrome, autism, DeGeorge syndrome, they don't mean anything to an 8-year-old, right? Like, these girls were just my friends. And growing up, we stayed really great friends. We're still really great friends today. And so I firsthand got to experience first how amazing they are, all that they have to give and to contribute, followed by the unfortunate realization as we got through high school of the lack of professional opportunities that exist for adults with disabilities. I remember early in starting 321, in the very beginning days, we just had volunteer opportunities. Everything we did, people volunteered with us. And one of my friends from way back when, Emma, like I said, we've been friends since 4th grade. She had a job at a local grocery store, and she also volunteered with 321. And every time we put out a new opportunity, she was the first to pick up a shift. Wow. And I loved that, but I was surprised that she continued to pick up shifts with us when she could have theoretically picked up shifts at the grocery store job that she had and gotten paid for her time. And so I asked her about this, and she said, yeah, all they let me do is clean bathrooms. And it was this realization that, like, not only is it so difficult for adults with disabilities to get jobs, but even the ones that are getting jobs aren't always being challenged, aren't always being given meaningful or fulfilling work, aren't always being given the opportunities to take on additional responsibility and grow within a team when they're deserving of all of that, just like anybody else. So got to college at NC State, met Michael. We met our freshman year very early. We were both part of Park Scholarship, so that put us in the same room physically, and realized the importance of, hey, we should do something about this. So shared the idea with each other, with friends, that, you know, let's try this. Let's start a coffee shop that could employ people with disabilities. And the real meaning behind it is to create a place where everyone can contribute and can belong and can grow together. So we started off with renting a folding table from Tally Student Union.
Wow. Big time.
Big time,
yeah.
We bought a coffee maker from Target.
Okay.
We bought aprons and some iron-on transfer paper from Amazon.
Okay.
My suite mate at the time was living in Sullivan. She was a graphic design student, so she came up with our first logo. So we ironed it onto the aprons. Got a bunch of friends from, you know, growing up, and other people that we had met in the community that had disabilities, and said, let's try this. And there was a college Special Olympics college.
Unified rivalry?
Yes. Unified rivalry game with the Special Olympics college team. So it was between NC State and UNC, and we set up in the lobby of the practice arena and served coffee to all of the athletes and the families and the people that showed up, and it was awesome.
And it was one thing that brought UNC and NC State together that day. I mean, I remember that picture that we have of all of us with some of the NC State players and some of the UNC cheer team, and
great.
You don't see that kind of, not always mixed in.
When it happens, it's magic. Yeah. Well, Michael and Lindsay, I'm really interested. I know you guys were together as Park Scholars. That's a wonderful community at NC State, a group of students so committed to giving back to their community. So talk about NC State as a community, how the university and the NC State community came around to support 321 Coffee.
Yeah, totally. I think that, I mean, first and foremost, Park Scholarships was such a huge, it was what brought us together, but it was also what brought together so many other people that helped us build 321 Coffee. When we opened our shop at the State Farmers Market, it was groups of Park Scholar students that we were friends with that were willing to be there until 2 a.m. in the morning, trying shots of espresso as we dialed in the machine and paint the walls when we needed it. So there was so much support from that program, but from so many other programs too. I mean, NC State Entrepreneurship in particular, we received a lot of support. We were part of the Andrews Launch Accelerator. We were both Miller Fellows. We competed in any competition that NC State Entrepreneurship offered. And along the way, we also developed a really cool relationship with the NC State football team. And that was from Sarah Dorn reaching out to us our freshman year, sends us an email out of the blue, and couldn't believe that
we thought it was spam.
Yeah, couldn't believe that Sarah Dorn knew what we were doing. And she was like, hey, like I saw what y'all are doing. We'd love to find a way for NC State football to be really involved with this. And that was the beginning of our relationship with NC State football. And ever since, we've gone every morning during football season to serve coffee to the football team and staff. So all sorts of different levels of support that we've had from the university, from programs to scholarships to just people being true champions and being really invested in what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned two incredible programs, the Andrews Launch Accelerator and the Miller's Fellow. And both programs, the Andrews Launch Accelerator provides funding for companies that are just getting off. And the Miller's Fellow, that's a great program because everyone that's starting a new business, when you're graduating from a great university, you could go and get a job and make money, and you've got to somehow convince your family that not having a salary and going into this amazing opportunity is something you should do. So talk about the Miller's Fellow program and how that helped to provide support to allow your family to allow you to do this.
Yeah, you're spot on with just how it's a big decision and it's not an easy one. And it was really scary to trust yourself and your gut, and you're putting yourself on the line that, you know, I want to give this a shot and I don't know if it's going to work out. But Miller comes in and it gives you a runway, right? And it puts you in the middle of, beside other people that are in the same position, and you have people that you can lean on the hard days when it's not certain and it's hard work and it's a lot of work and it's scary and it's unknown. But it's sort of like, okay, but if you're crazy enough to think that this is worth trying, then like, I'll do it too. And I mean, especially, I know we were in a really fortunate situation to be graduating debt-free because of Park Scholarship Program. But I think that is something that, you know, we were very, like I said, we're very fortunate that on day one, we didn't have the burden of student loans to start paying back. And then, you know, you insert some funding for 6 months from Miller, and you had some wiggle room that, okay, even if this crashes and burns, we're okay. And that, I think, is the comfort that so many people need in order to take the leap and put themselves on the line and try it. And that's where you can really see some people get enough traction that it can truly serve as a jumping point.
Well, you guys are both inspirations to the NC State community. Let me talk a little bit about the location we're in. So 321 Coffee, this is a physical location near downtown Raleigh on Hillsborough Street, just right down from NC State's campus. Walk down, buy a coffee, buy a latte. You're going to meet Sam in a while, and he's going to make you an amazing latte. So we'll get to Big S in just a few minutes. So come to the Hillsborough location. You also have a location in Pendo's headquarters downtown, one in Durham. So talk a little bit about your plan, where you are in terms of facilities, and where you see 321 Coffee headed.
Yeah. So the very first location that we opened up was over at the State Farmers Market. So super close to Centennial campus. Felt like home for us, right? It was a quick walk from the university. That was our first location, and we had that location, still have it today. We've grown in that location, expanded it a couple of times. We even started roasting our very own coffee from that location. So that location is really cool. We built it ourselves. So
We like designed our class schedules around like I didn't have class on Wednesdays, so like I could be in the shop. Michael didn't have class on Thursdays. One of our other partners, Liam, he made sure he didn't have class on Fridays. Like, yeah, that was our testing grounds.
my freshman year roommate, he was a construction engineering major. So he helped sort of like GC the project for us when we were sophomores. A lot of like really cool stuff that started from that space. And then as we were getting closer to graduation and figuring that we were going to work on this full time, we really did start to look at, okay, how do we really grow our footprint? And that was when Pendo reached out to us and said, hey, we're looking for someone to operate an in-office cafe in this beautiful new headquarters that we're building in downtown Raleigh. Would you all be willing to do it? And that connection was instantaneous and perfect, and they've been so great to us. At the same time, we found the location that we're at today, which is super cool, like little standalone spot in the middle of downtown Raleigh. And that was then also when the person who we were working with on this space said, hey, how about a shop in Durham? And we said, why not? We'll give it a go. And then, like we had said, we started roasting our own coffee along the way. So we're really also starting to get into really developing that side of the business as well. So supplying coffee for offices, getting the coffee into grocery stores, and really growing our footprint started beyond the triangle, right? So how do we get 321 coffee on the shelves of every grocery store?
Well, speaking of roasting your own coffee, I had your own coffee this morning
Love.
because you've roasted and are distributing a coffee with Sam's picture on the back for the greater good that gives back to the Wolfpack. Talk a little bit about the coffee that you've roasted and are contributing to scholarships as a result of your generosity.
Yeah, and there's so many things I want to dig into, but you bring up Sam, who is featured on the back of this coffee bag, and that is probably for us one of the most special parts of the coffee bag. So we're really big into representation and finding ways to showcase all that people with disabilities have to offer. And a big part of that is who they are and serving as an inspiration for others in the disability community to see, people with disabilities in a position of influence and recognition. So we're really proud to have Sam's face featured on the back of the coffee bag. And, some of the stories that we've already brought up today, that first ever event in the practice facility, Sam was there. Serving coffee every Monday morning to the NC State football team, Sam's there. Right? Every single part of our journey, building the shop at the farmer's market, Sam was there. Opening this location, Sam was there. And he's been such a huge part of 321's success and story, but he's also been such an inspiration and has exuded so much leadership in bringing together 321 and NC State. So in addition to us, obviously being students and now alumni of the university, Sam has found so many ways to embed his person and self and joy within the university and making it such, especially with the NC State football team, such a true partnership that just goes beyond a traditional vendor relationship. So when we had the opportunity to create this coffee that was to signify all that 321 and NC State have done together, we were so proud to incorporate Sam into that story. We're so proud, being on the receiving end of support from the university, to have a portion of all sales going back to university scholarships. NC State as a whole has basically been the reason why we are sitting where we are sitting right now, from putting, right, like I did come to school with this idea, but at that point it was just an idea. I'd had it for a while. It wasn't until meeting Michael and having friends say like, yeah, let's do this. And having, even professors lend us nail guns and air compressors to build that shop at the farmer's market.
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
It's so many people contributing so many different things, and I'm just so proud that we have this bag of coffee that signifies all that has happened since that very first cup of coffee.
Yeah, it is a source of great pride for us as well at NC State. So on the bag of coffee that you've developed that is supporting NC State and our students, where does the term greater good come from? How is that woven into that bag of coffee?
Definitely. So we were really excited. Obviously, there's so much synergy between the two brands, and we are big on having names that do have meaning. So, for example, Our name, 321 Coffee, it represents Down syndrome when someone is born with 3 copies of the 21st chromosome. Then when you look at the names of our standard core coffees, Elevate, Uplift, Rise, right? We're always looking for symbolic names that really do speak to the testament of our core values of helping people be the best versions of themselves, lifting people up, etc. So when it came time to pick the name for the NC State Coffee collaboration, we really wanted something that represented the shared values, and that really was in pursuit of serving the greater good. Right? There's so much that NC State is doing to investing in students, creating opportunities, giving back to the community. We're obviously a huge believer in inclusivity and recognizing the unique abilities that everyone brings to the team. And so it just felt right.
It does feel right. And it is consistent with everything we think about at NC State in giving back to our community for the greater good of all North Carolinians and frankly, everyone around the world. So it's a great story. And thank you, Bo, for sharing it with us today.
Thank you.
All right, Wolfpack Nation, I am so excited for you to meet Sam, whose picture is on the back of our coffee that we jointly developed with 321. Sam, what are you going to show me today? What are you going to teach me? I don't know anything.
Well, I going to show the Chancellor how to make a dirty chai latte. But he will try just a little bit of it. But it's really, really good. And it's actually one of my most favorite drink to make.
Wow. Well, let's go. Let's get this dirty chai. I'm pretty excited.
So the best way to make it is by these beans here.
Okay.
And this is really, really high tech.
It looks high tech.
So watch the magic.
This is the magic.
I just place the glucose in, and this will.
It measures the exact amount.
Yes, sir. The most popular flavor with it is lavender. Sometimes it's slicing the cinnamon or French vanilla, but lavender is one of the popular flavors.
But lavender makes you sleepy. So it's a little interesting to put lavender in coffee. I like cinnamon myself, but that's okay. How long have you been doing this for 321?
I was the first one, and I was the first volunteer when 321 was a volunteer opportunity, and now it's a paying opportunity now.
Yeah.
So for the flavors, we put 2 or 3 sometimes. So I just put 2.
Yeah, good. That's good. Don't want to hit me too.
Not too hard.
Yeah, not the first time.
I get it. So the next step before I do the espresso is making the chai latte.
Okay.
And sometimes if it's hot outside, I can make it ice to the chai latte. If it's cold outside like today, it'll be hot. So it's like different temperatures for different parts of the drink.
All right, Big S. I see it happening now.
Yes, sir. So I'll start by the first line. And the best way to drink this, I throw out the whole milk. Because whole milk will make things more creamier and more good.
Yeah, I agree.
Because ain't the greater good.
I agree. And I'm a kind of person that needs a little more fat.
Ah.
That was a chance for you to tell me how thin I was, Sam.
Oh. So that's what the color look like now.
Yeah.
So I started before. It's just a regular chai
Just a chai latte.
liquid, and then they add the milk.
And
It
where
become
does the
like this.
dirty word come from?
The dirty wood comes from the latte itself.
Ah,
So now we're gonna make it hot.
I'm pretty excited about this. I've always wondered how this something inside a cold pitcher suddenly becomes hot. How does that work?
Well, I will show you how to do it.
All right, I thought you would.
But this one I will show you, we do it automatic.
Wow. Makes your job easier.
It is. Now I push this button,
Yes, sir.
and it comes the latte right there. And while this spinning, like this is always the first one be completely done before the milk is done.
How long does it take for this to be heated? Does it tell you when it's ready?
Yes, it will make a little bit of a noise. Say,
That's kind of
means,
I do that when I'm done.
yeah.
At the end of the day, when I've had enough, I just
Exactly.
kinda growl.
So it's the same thing,
Same thing.
but with the espresso machine.
All right. That's a shot of espresso there.
It is.
If I drank all of that, Sam, I would be up all night long.
Oh, I bet so. And same with me if I drink that too. But it doesn't
But
matter for me.
All right, well,
And got flavor of this, so I just do it.
you're a real barista.
Yes, sir. Okay, don't mind that inside.
That's beautiful foam.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
call it foam? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
After it steam like that, yes, we got it from.
You know, this is going to be good.
And that's a hot dirty chai latte with brown sugar cinnamon.
I'm pretty excited. You going to let me try it?
Be my guest.
Now, if I get foam on my upper lip, don't you laugh.
I will not. I promise I will not.
Come
I
on,
know
big
you.
ass. Come on, big ass, don't you? 2 shots was perfect.
Yes!
Perfect. Was perfect.
Yes!
I appreciate you so much.
Of course.
Thank you all for joining us for another edition of Red Chair Chats. Anything else? Go Pack.
Go back.
I got the spots up, guys.